Could we see Sal Frelick with the Brewers soon? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Saturday, June 24th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White. 5 prospects on the verge of getting the call, and I think Christian Encarnacion Strand might have the record for the longest streak of being on this list, but he remains at the top. Followed by...
Certainly this year's record. There have been others who've been longer in the past, unfortunately.
So he is number 1 on the list, and then it's followed by Colton Cowser and Grayson Rodriguez, both from the Orioles, and the 2 new names to the list, Jonathan Aranda from Tampa Bay and Sal Frelick from the Brewers. Scott, do you think we could see either one of those names with their respective teams soon-ish?
Well, I don't have the most up-to-date numbers for you, but I could tell you at the time I wrote this article, Jonathan Aranda, of the Rays had raised his batting over about a 2-week span. Jonathan Aranda's batting average went from 267 to 340.
Wow.
So he's been on fire. And his track record in the minors is as a player who hits for average. He also makes very hard contact, doesn't strike out much, walks a ton. Seems like somebody who'd be right up the Rays or really any team's alley. And, they're without their starting second baseman right now, Brandon Lau. So I'm a little surprised we haven't already seen Jonathan Aranda yet. He was up for a time last year, so it's not like it's, the situation where they have to clear a spot for him on the 40-man roster. It'll have to happen soon. I mean, he's capable. He's played some third base and first base in the minors, too, so there's enough versatility there that they're going to want to get him active, I imagine, with as hot as he is right now. He's 25 years old. What more does he have to accomplish in the minors? Very interesting player there, Jonathan Aranda. Has a raw power, like I said, hits the ball hard, but it hasn't always translated to home runs, though he has 10 this year. Anyway, Sal Frelick, yes, he has been hitting well since returning from a torn ligament in his thumb. It's only been a handful of games, so it may be too soon for the Brewers to make that move, but they could easily make room for him. They're playing Brian Anderson in right field. He's done nothing since early April. They're also playing Luis Arias close to every day. Even if they wanted to keep Anderson in, they can move him to third base and stick Frelick in right. Frelick doesn't have a lot of power, but he is near the top of the scales in both hit tool and speed. And in fact, after getting to AAA last year, he hit 365 in 46 games. So that gives you an idea of what Frelick brings to the table. I think he's I think he would be of interest in all fantasy leagues despite that lack of power. One quick note on Christian Encarnacion Strand. I know we've talked about him a lot over the weeks. Every week he's that much closer to getting the majors. We don't know exactly when it'll be. But something that's happened just in the last few days is the Reds designated Will Myers for assignment. So that's one less body to clutter up the corner infield outfield mix and frees up a spot on the 40-man roster. So hopefully that will create an opening for Encarnacion Strand. Hopefully that was the first indication he's on his way soon.
All right, the 5 prospects on the periphery. These are names that are doing something of note as of late. And let's start with Ronny Mauricio with the Mets, Cedane Rafaela, an outfielder with the Red Sox, Connor Phillips, a starting pitcher with the Reds, Dominic Canzone, an outfielder with the Diamondbacks, and Joey Loperfido, a second baseman with the Astros. Scott, any quick notes on this group?
So Ronny Mauricio is kind of overflow from the previous group. It's really kind of a 6 on the verge situation because I think Mauricio could be up any day now. The main reason he isn't, I suspect, is because Tommy Pham is heated up in left field for the Mets. But that's the position Mauricio has been playing most recently at AAA. As a natural shortstop, has also played a lot of second base and has maintained a batting average well over 300 with some impressive exit velocity readings at AAA. Cedane Rafaela got off to a dreadful start. It looked like maybe he was a one-hit wonder last year, emerging as a top prospect, but he's really turned things around recently. Take another look at his numbers if you haven't seen them. Connor Phillips, far and away the minor league leader in strikeouts by a distant margin, another pitcher in the Reds organization. Part of that has to do with the tacky ball they're using in the Southern League. That's probably elevating Connor Phillips' strikeout numbers a bit, but he has a good swing in this stuff. Suffice it to say, not every pitcher in the Southern League has 15 strikeouts per 9. And then these last two, Dominic Canzone and Joey Loperfido, they are a couple of under the radar names who have some really impressive numbers at the upper levels. They're both particularly good at getting on base. So in deeper dynasty leagues, if you want a sneaky pickup, I think both of them would suffice.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again next week. Bye-bye.